Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. And this week, we're looking forward to Tottenham versus Bournemouth in game week 31. Ricky Saunders is going to tell us not to captain Harry Kane, probably. Ricky, our Tottenham correspondent's in. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, James. How are you?
Very good, thank you, mate. And our Bournemouth correspondent, Neil Grover, is going to tell us to make sure if you've got Dominic Solanke, start him this weekend. How are you, Neil?
Yeah, really good. Thanks. Thanks for having me again.
Good man. Thank you, mate. Ricky, we did a pod a couple of weeks ago about crisis state at Tottenham with Antonio Conte following the I guess post-match press conference at Southampton. Couldn't believe he hadn't been sacked 5 days later. It took another 4 days later. Then the managing director decided to record a short video for the club's social media the next day in what looked like a prison cell, but I can assure everyone was actually a hotel room, apparently, recorded on a Zoom camera or webcam worse than mine. He then got banned from world football the next day. How's things at Tottenham at the moment, mate?
As I said about 5 minutes ago, mate, never a dull day. There's always something going on at this basket case of a club. Um, other than everything else, the one thing that hasn't changed about Tottenham is the way we play on the pitch.
Still
Same
shit.
old, same old. Yeah, it's like it was just before when Conte was there. Nothing's changed really.
Were you surprised Stellini was given the job?
I was. I've heard something that we didn't speak about on the pod because I didn't know it then. But something that I've since heard is that Mrs. Mason is heavily pregnant,
Yeah,
and
he's had the baby. Well,
she had,
she's had the baby. Yeah,
she's
yeah.
had the baby. So yeah, I didn't know that at the time. So when I heard that, it made sense because the last thing you want is your interim manager being replaced by an interim manager because he's off on paternity leave. So from that point of view, it does make sense that Stellini is in charge, but it does raise the question if you've just keeping a man because the other man that was going to do it isn't available for 2 weeks. Why didn't you just go and get the person you wanted in the first place? Like get hire a manager.
But then
We
the
all
interim manager got sent off on Saturday, and the interim was on. We are good, aren't we?
it's a basket case. It's an absolute nut job of a club, and you've got to be a special person to follow this club. It's not for everybody.
Thanks, Ricky. I feel better. Neil, as a neutral, how do you view Tottenham, mate?
Um, yes. No, it's yeah. When you sort of break it down like that, it's a bit of a circus, isn't it? But yeah, I don't envy you guys.
I mean, third world problems, Ricky. Fifth in the league, 3 points off of Manchester United and Newcastle. Admittedly, played a game more. We've still got to play both. I guess in theory we're in contention, but we don't actually think we are, do we?
um, no, we're not. Like, in theory, it's in our hands. If we go and win those games and all of our other games, we finish above both of well, not both of them, but we finish in the top four. That's the theory. In reality, we are well off the pace. We will be lucky to finish in the top six, never mind the top four.
Why?
We're
Conte
just
not
not.
going, not change anything then.
It hasn't changed anything. We've played two games without Conte, and nothing has changed in either game. I'm kind of hoping that with well, if I'm hoping that Stellini gets a ban, a touchline ban, and he can't manage the
Wait, the
next
joke
game.
is though, he didn't do anything, did
No,
he?
well, he didn't. What they've actually charged him with, as I'm sure you know, is failing to control his backroom staff.
Okay.
So while he was stood over there with his arms folded, he should have been in the middle of it, getting people away. But yeah, he's been charged with that. I should imagine that will come with a games ban. Hopefully, under Mason, we will see something different because we sure as hell haven't seen anything different so far under Stellini. I think you said it, Conte light. That's exactly what it is. Nothing's changed, and I can't see it changing with Stellini calling the shots from the side.
I don't think I've said that, but now that you've mentioned it, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Reportedly, Mason and Stellini were at complete odds with the final 20 minutes at Everton.
Everton, yeah, yeah. Mason wanted everyone to get forward, and Stellini said everyone to hold back, and that in itself is not a great look. You know, the head coach or the interim head coach and the interim assistant coach at complete footballing odds, philosophy odds on the touchline. for the players to see, for the fans to see. It's an absolute shambles, and it's not their fault. They've been thrust together. We could talk about higher up and board level and whatever else for ages, but no, nothing has changed, and I can't see anything changing other than the one possible game that Ryan Mason may be on the touchline on his own.
When we had that, when Mourinho went, all right, it was a little bit better to watch, but we're getting messed about a bit as well. I remember getting absolutely destroyed at Leeds, for example.
Yeah. Look,
that could happen again, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could do. It could do. Look, I mean, that was 2 years ago. Ryan maybe he's, for all of Conte's faults as a Tottenham manager, he is, so we're led to believe, I didn't see it, but he's a world-class coach. So hopefully, working closely with him, Ryan has learned a thing or two. He's improved himself, and he may have something different to offer to what he did 2 years ago. But basing it on purely what we've seen from him in the past, it might be a bit better, but it's not going to be brilliant.
This must win against Bournemouth on Saturday, Ricky, or does it not matter?
No, for if we've got any aspirations of top four, every game is must win now. We've got United and Newcastle that have already got the points and games in hand, and we've got good teams playing good football, breathing down our necks. Plus, we've got Liverpool, who are a good team, not playing good football, breathing down our necks as well. So no, every game is must win if we're going to get top four.
Neil, how do you view the game at the weekend going to Tottenham? Do you look at it and think playing against a top six team, take a point, or do you look at it openly at the moment, think you can come to White Hart Lane and win?
I see it as a little bit of a free hit after the weekend. So I think we've given ourselves a little bit of breathing room now. And I think any time a club in our position goes to one of the big six away, you kind of view it as, well, if we get something brilliant, but what it will do is mean we can play with probably a bit of freedom as well, because everyone, all of the predictions this week will be us getting soundly beaten, I expect. So the players,
I'm not sure me and Ricky will be predicting that, but go on.
Well, sure, but all of your Suttons and stuff will be predicting that, right? So we can go there and sort of just say, well, let's see what happens. We've got the quality to compete, so let's see what happens. And particularly with perhaps some of the distractions that you're going to have off the pitch, with all of the above, it might be an opportunity for us to steal something. I'd very much take a point.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair and reasonable. It's worth saying we've won our last 5 home games, Ricky.
We're not that. Look, results-wise, we said this under Mourinho, we said it under Conte. Results-wise, we're actually not that bad. And I think, even to this point, we're up on points compared to this time last season. Obviously, we went on a fantastic run at the end of last season. We're not going to achieve the points we did last year, but the results haven't been that bad.
Yeah, I find that difficult when I think of the 5 points dropped in the last 10 minutes at Wolves, Everton, and Southampton. Which,
yeah,
to be fair, had we not dropped them, we might be realistically thinking that we possibly still could finish top 4. Neil, the win at Leicester felt huge to the extent now bookies have now got you not in their favoured 3 to go down. Was it that seismic?
Yeah, I went into the game and I was sat outside waiting for my mates, sat outside Leicester's, the away end at Leicester on Saturday, and I was thinking, this has the makings to be potentially the biggest game of our season so far, because I was looking at the maths and I was like, right, well, if we win, it's 3 points clear of the relegation, 5 clear of Leicester, and 7 clear of Southampton, if everything went as it ended up doing. And I felt that it was the right time to kind of put a stop to potential Leicester new manager bounce and all of that sort of stuff, particularly with what they've got coming with City away at the weekend. And it just felt like it was a huge game for one of our rivals at home against us. And when I say rivals, I mean relegation rival at the moment. And it's kind of just felt like it was a real pressure release. Like the fans, for the first time, I think, believed the whole "we're staying up" chant after the game. It really felt like it felt like we'd kind of not it felt like we'd really pushed forward and made a huge jump to that survival. And all of those statistics, all those Opta things and etc. back that up. I think we went up like 26% more likely to stay up or something now.
Which is massive on one victory, isn't it?
Yeah. But that's what happens when you beat us in a relegation 6-pointer.
Yeah, I'd said last week that I thought it might come down to the game at the weekend could be important. You look at Leicester's games to come against Leeds and Everton in 33 and 34 feels a little bit similar. But then after, I understand what you're saying about free swing this week, because even if you don't get anything at the weekend, West Ham at home, Southampton away, Leeds at home, gives you the real opportunity in the following three to finish it off, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the mental maths that all Bournemouth fans are doing at the moment, I think we need 2 wins and probably a couple of draws in there to be safe. I've got the line in my head's 36-37 at the moment, just because everyone down there's got to play each other. So I don't think it's going to be as high. I think Sudge said earlier that it'll be 39, which I think is just too high.
No, I think it'll be less now that you've beat Leicester.
Yeah, so in my head, it's that 36 mark, which is 2 wins for us. And if you look at our fixtures, it's all within our hands. I think 2 wins. You've got to think if we don't have 2 wins between now and the end of the season, we didn't deserve to stay up.
Yeah, I can't argue that. Even some of the away games, Southampton, Palace, and Everton, there's something across those, I think. And the confidence probably of all the teams down there, yours is probably the highest confidence at the moment, isn't it? 3 wins from 5, includes obviously beating Liverpool in that run.
Yeah, and we've looked good as well. Like, it's not like we've scraped a 1-0. Like, the scoreline perhaps somewhat flatters Leicester to a degree. I think it could easily have been at least 2, if not 3-0. They probably should have scored when Vardy missed a through ball. But it was, I mean, it could have been a lot more. But I think we've been playing really well. I think we played well against like Fulham after their goal. I think we've looked quite good, apart from the Villa game where we just sort of capitulated when they went ahead. But that's not really an embarrassment with how well they're playing. So I think the performances have been there since January. It's finally we're getting our rewards off the back of that. Like you said, 3 wins from 5. We've found a nice little vein of form. We've got good games coming. I sit here today feeling very confident that we'll be in the Premier League next year.
Ricky, how do you see Bournemouth at the moment?
A team playing with confidence, a team playing well. They've strung together some good results. They've got goals coming from unexpected sources, which is a really positive. They're not relying on one person. If with other teams, you feel if their main man went down, they'd be toast. But no, Bournemouth are playing some really good stuff at the moment and getting some results.
What did you think of? Go on, Ricky.
No, I agree with Neil. I think they'll be safe. They're hitting a little bit of form at the right time, and I think they'll do enough to stay up.
I certainly wouldn't call you safe, Neil, because I think obviously if the next 4 does go badly,
sure,
then you'll drop back into it and you'll become favourites to go down. But I'd certainly fancy you to get something across these, as I did fancy you to get something at Leicester at the weekend. What did you make of them, having been there in that environment at the King Power?
I think they didn't look like the Leicester that I've seen when I've been to the King Power before. They looked abject. They looked like they were very low on confidence, which is understandable, I think. The fans in particular really turned on them quite early on. It didn't help that we were really peppering Iverson's goal at the start of the first half. Like we deserved to go in 1-0. Okay, they gifted us a goal with the Maddison back pass, but I don't think that didn't feel unjust. Solanke probably should have scored. He missed by a couple of inches past the near post as I was looking at it from the away end. We sort of really tore them open, particularly their right-hand side. Atara was just absolutely eating them for breakfast. So they just didn't look like that. Then they were trying to break out via Vardy, and it just wasn't working because he just doesn't have the pace that he had a few years ago. And we were just sort of coping. But then what I would say when they made the changes, he brought in Iheanacho and Daka on. It was about 60 minutes, something like that. It then felt like they might actually get something, and it really turned a little bit, and we did really well to weather that pressure, which was really good. But I kind of, at the back of my head, I was like, oh, they could get something from this pressure.
Ricky, you know why I asked Neil about the King Power, didn't you?
Yeah.
Can you believe that we walked out that ground, got beat 4-1, could have been 5 or 6-1.
Yeah.
2 months ago, and how badly they've regressed again since then.
It is quite staggering. But that's a
Does
lot
it
of
say
that.
more about us?
I think some of that is Dr. Tottenham will see you now. We'll turn up and we'll turn someone's bad season into a great day. It is though, and it must be really alarming for the Leicester fans that they're banging trouble. There's no, I'm seeing nothing about that team that's going to get them out of trouble. No one's stepping up. I don't think the appointment today of Dean Smith is going to inspire any Leicester fan, and possibly not any Leicester player. I know it's obviously a temporary solution to the end of the season, but that's just that's maybe even more certain that they are going to be one of the 3 teams that go down this year.
Do you
That's
think they'll
not a
go?
great point. Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I really do.
They too, after obviously they've got City this week, but then they'll probably think the same. Wolves, Leeds, Everton next 3. Probably thinking similar to what Neil's thinking.
Yeah, big games. And they could potentially lose all 3 of them.
I mean, if they did, they'll go. If they get nothing in the next 4, then they'll be too far adrift to do anything in their final 4. Let's get back to Tottenham a bit, Ricky. Was you expecting any change of system at all? And is there any excuse on the fact there is a number of injuries, in fairness, at the moment?
Yeah, there is. Look, we haven't been able. I think maybe once this season we've been able to pick our first 11. We have been really unlucky with injuries. Was I expecting any change? No, probably not. I was hoping more than expecting. I think what probably gave me a bit more hope than what I was entitled to have was the performances we put in under Stellini while Conte was out with his gallstones, I think it was. We played really well in some of them games, football that we haven't seen for quite a long time, and I kind of naively thought that we might continue that. We haven't done. As I say, it's Conte like nothing really's changed. And I don't even know if this is Stellini. It's now seems to be an ingrained mentality. You go 1-0 up, you defend. And that was never how Tottenham played. You went 1-0 up, you went for 2, then you went for 3, and so on. This now seems to be something that goes far deeper than the coach. This is the players' mentality that's been drilled into them over 3 successive managers over a 4-year period. And it's going to take a massive personality to come in and change that. So in hindsight, yes, I hoped it, but didn't expect it.
In one name, who do you want as manager now?
Well, there's probably not a lot of point in saying De Zerbi after the weekend.
Probably not.
He's done himself no favours whatsoever. In one name, I'm still got to say Nagelsmann, purely because, well, not purely because, but a lot.
I'm going to timestamp this and say we're pre-recording on Tuesday when it comes out on Wednesday night that Chelsea have agreed terms with him.
Yeah. I'd still like him purely because of his tactical abilities, and if he can change that team and change the mindset through his tactical ability, if one person can do it, I think he can. I'm still expecting Brendan Rodgers.
So,
who, to be fair, I wouldn't.
Wow.
It's just got to be better, hasn't it? I don't want it, but it'd be better.
Did we just have a big chat about Leicester, or did I miss
that?
I
know. No. You know what? I think some of the. I'll give Rodgers a little bit of credit in. He's had a lot of his good players sold from underneath him with piss poor replacements bought in. Some of obviously Leicester's issues are down to him, but not all of them by any stretch. I think he's a better manager than the results have shown. I just expect him because we're Tottenham and that's what we do.
Okay. Do you think against Bournemouth at the weekend, 100% is that a back three for Tottenham?
Yeah, cool. It will be, yeah.
Okay.
Because we'll play a back three no matter who we're playing.
Okay.
It's just what we do now.
Part of the reason I ask is because of when we last played each other, Neil, the 3-2, which you played really well in for an hour, and then you just got too deep and it became inevitable in the end. You played like a hybrid back three that day, and you was going through a phase of that at the time where I think you had Tavernier kind of playing between wing back and winger. It's commonly been a back four very recently.
Yep.
Is that likely to stick, or do you think there's a chance to look at Tottenham at the weekend and go, we'll match that?
I think at the moment, I feel why change what's working? Like,
Right.
Even the games where we've lost, we've looked okay. I think the Brighton game was okay. So I wouldn't make a change from what's working at the moment. I think he'll tweak some of the members of the starting 11, but I don't think we'll see a massive system change.
You played better against Brighton than one of Ricky's team did.
Yeah.
One essentially because of two brilliant moments of individualism from Son and Kane, Ricky, right? Which when people are trying to explain why Tottenham are where they are in the league is a big reason why, isn't it? We know Sonny hasn't had a great season.
Yeah, not Sonny, but
a great goal.
Yeah. If Harry had have been injured or wasn't there for whatever reason, mid-table at best. That's how bad we've been.
Do you think you'll be a Tottenham player next season?
No.
Do you, Neil?
No.
Okay, this is good. Do you own Harry Kane in FPL, Ricky?
Yes.
Do you, Neil?
Yes.
Are you going to captain him, Ricky?
Probably not.
Is that because we've already spoke about Leicester?
Yes, and also Harry's very, very consistent, but and hopefully I'm setting myself up here for a massive fall, but his goals normally come in singles. His at the moment not Harry's ceiling, but the way that we play means that he's got a ceiling of probably about 10 points, where I've got a higher ceiling with other players elsewhere. But
Neil,
obviously,
same question.
I think, no, but only because Leicester have got Haaland.
Okay. If something happened to Haaland between now and the weekend, and we should say we're pre-recording prior to Manchester City's Champions League game, would that change your mind? Would you captain Kane?
Yes. He always seems to. He always scores against most teams, but
he's scoring a 3-2, mate.
No, but that's a rarity.
1 pointer, actually, even.
I think that might be because I did captain him that day, probably. That's the way my FPL season's going, but that's another thing.
Would that change it, Ricky? Though, just quite interesting. If we had, for whatever reason, no Haaland, no Rashford this weekend, would you go Kane?
Even then, it'll be a toss-up between Kane and Watkins. But yeah, at that point, it's Kane. Kane's got to get the armband.
What's your plan with Harry going forward? Are you just quickly? Are you free hitting 32, Ricky?
Yes.
Are you, Neil? Okay,
that's the
good.
plan. Yeah.
What's your plan with Harry then, Ricky?
Essentially to sell him. The Bournemouth game is his last game.
So obviously, if you're going to free hit 32, you're probably going to sell him before Man United 33. Yeah. Is that to make weight for someone else, like a Salah or something like that?
Exactly that. Yeah, I was lucky I had enough money in the bank this week to do Havertz to Haaland, and to get Salah, I've now got to put that money back in the bank, and that's Kane going. I was set on Isak. I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do with that now, but yeah, Kane will be downgraded to allow me to bring in Salah.
What's your plan, Neil?
I think I'll probably keep him going forward. He's just the sort of player that no matter who he's playing against, he'll pop up. So I don't really even look at necessarily too much at who he's playing, because like even against like Liverpool away, it would not surprise me at all if he got a goal or two there, right?
Very valid point Neil makes, actually, Ricky. We're talking about ceilings with Harry, but the fixtures doesn't matter so much for him. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised if he got one in all of the next 4, for example, would you?
No. Kane has proved over the years, home or away, good fixture or bad fixture, he can and will score against anybody. It's just the way that we set up. We'll score a goal, then we defend. And that doesn't help Kane or any Tottenham assets in fantasy. So I kind of see, without looking, I would say that he's probably got a brace maybe once this season, if that. It'll be either one or none.
Forest at home, Palace away.
All right, 2 braces.
2 off the top of my head, mate. Sorry,
mate. But it's not many out of what 18, 19 goals though.
Forest home and away, actually.
He's got double figures 5 times this season.
Do you know what? I'm clearly talking.
You was at Forest with me. A rare good away day we had, Ricky.
Yeah. Do you know what? Just everything I've said for the last 40 minutes, ignore it because I don't know what I'm talking about. Look, I don't want to get rid of Harry, but I probably want Salah more than I want Harry.
No, listen, it's only the 2 Forest games and Palace away where he's actually scored twice in a game.
3.
And he hasn't got a hat-trick in a Premier League for, I think, over 3 years, I think.
It's been a long time. So. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Don't tell me stuff like that when we're playing you on Saturday.
I don't normally bring it up, Neil. It feels like it's about time. He's capable. There's no point sitting here and going, Harry Kane's not capable of a hat-trick against Bournemouth.
He's done it before.
Yes, so, in a 5-1 win.
Thank you.
Has Harry not scored a hat-trick then since Pochettino left?
I'm going to say that's got to be right, Ricky. Yeah, not in the league anyway. I think in Ropey League or something like that, yeah, but not in the Premier League, I don't think.
Is that a reflection of Harry's diminishing capabilities or the shit managers we've had? The negative football we've been playing?
I think it's reflection of style, yes.
Yeah.
But then again, there was the Southampton when Sonny got 4, wasn't there? The 6-1 at Man United, he scored twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been on the fringes of it a few times. And we all captained him a few years ago, Sheffield United at home when Bell got a hat trick, and he didn't return. Kane
did him nothing.
He got absolutely nothing. Ricky, I want to ask you what you thought about Hugo Lloris coming back in goal.
It was. We did actually touch upon this in our other pod, and it was inevitable. I think it's actually quite harsh on Fraser Forster because he's done a good job. He's exceeded my expectations. With Hugo, obviously he's not prime. You know, he's past his best now, and it was his first game back, playing the ball back to him. I'm never confident. Just never ever confident that he's going to get that ball away in time. Yeah, look, he's clearly a better keeper than Fraser Forster, but the gap isn't as big as what I think we thought it was, and it just highlights that in the summer we need minimum 1 goalkeeper, possibly 2. Yeah, but I think it was harsh on Fraser Forster, really do.
I'm quite happy if Fraser Forster was number 2, not as number 1. Your goalkeeper, Neil. It's good, isn't he?
There's a reason he played for Barcelona. Incredible in terms of some of the transformation we've had. I mean, I love Mark Travers a lot, but I think it feels like he is a proper Premier League goalkeeper to me. And some of the saves he's made, the sort of qualities that he's giving to the team as well. He's our captain now. So I think he's made a real not leap forward, but I think he's been one of the driving forces particularly since the World Cup in our improved form.
Metham played at centre back at the weekend. You quite rightly pointed out to us when you came on the pod prior to your trip to Villa that Jack Stevens had kind of very quietly made himself first choice. Yep. Were you surprised that Metham played instead of Zabani at the weekend, Selassie absent?
So I think that Zabani is still not match fit. So he's had obviously a chunk of period out due to injury. So he's still getting back up to speed. I think, unfortunately, he was a little bit culpable for the second Brighton goal. He kind of got a bit sat down, which probably shows his lack of match sharpness at the moment. So it doesn't surprise me. I think Stevens has very rightly nailed down his spot at the moment.
That's interesting when you look at Southampton's problems.
Yep.
What's happened with Jordan Zamora?
He's
He's
gone.
banished because of contract issues. Is that the situation?
Yeah, he's gone. He's now been demoted to the under-21s, or the development squad as we call it. But there were literally yesterday it came out that he's very deep in discussions with Udinese to sign there for a free, which is frustrating because we won't get a penny, or we'll get one of these very marginal fees that you get when it's a non-UK club.
Does that mean Lloyd Kelly at left back by default then?
Yes, yeah, at least for now. Again, it's working. So why change it? He grew up in that position, but we have got a very capable deputy in Vina as well. So that's not really a position of worry for me. And then Smith on the right as well.
There's no chance of switching Smith to the left side now.
No, because there's not enough cover beneath him. I don't think Stacey is defensively sure enough, particularly against at the weekend against yourselves. I don't think he would risk that. I do think it's a position we'll look to upgrade in the summer, but I think for now Smith is absolutely nailed on for right back.
Yeah. And what's Philip Billings' best position?
Well, attacking mid, so just behind, or just behind, I say, but ahead of Solanke. So kind of a second striker, basically, is his best. He played deeper against Brighton, and O'Neill rightly took some slack for that. He went back to being more aggressive against Leicester, and it paid off. I mean, Billing was absolutely incredible again, and of course he was on my bench in FPL, so that's fabulous.
Will he be on your bench this weekend?
Yes, currently, but it depends on what happens with Rashford, and if I have to do a load of manoeuvring there to move him off.
He'd be just generally you've already got. I guess if we don't know the Rashford information at the time of recording, but there's probably people similarly trying to sell Leicester players, for example, maybe Maddison's, for example. Is it definitely go to the likes of a Grealish, or can you consider Billing when you look at these next 4 fixtures, particularly perhaps if you're not free hitting in 32?
If you want a Bournemouth player, it's Billing at the moment. Like, it's not even a doubt for me that he would be the one to go to. There are other options that, especially if you kept them through, like Solanke, I wouldn't sell him right now, but I wouldn't be running to buy him. But Billing, I think, is the option for Bournemouth at the moment. If you like what you see, someone, he's someone that's scoring goals at the moment. I think I said on the last one on the Villa pod that Billing was my preference just because he's the hot hand, and he continues to be that. So until he stops and dries up, I see no reason to stop. He's got three double figure point hauls since the Arsenal game. So in 6 games.
It's good. Dango Atara picked up an issue at Leicester in the first half. Is there any info at this time?
So it's not an issue as such. So he is observing Ramadan at the moment. And I think it's worth noting he's a young guy. This is probably his first season where he's having a season that's impacted by his fast. And I think he's just looked a little bit lack. He's not had enough energy. We saw it particularly against Brighton as well. He's not the only one. Traore as well. I think it's not something I worry about, but I think he's just a little bit off the pace.
So he didn't have an injury problem. He was taken off in the first half, right?
Yeah, and rightly so, actually. I must say, and you know my thoughts on O'Neill have not been too favourable, but Dango just looked off the pace. But it was really clear that was going to be a method in for us. So he took him off for Tavernier, and then almost straight away Tavernier opened them up. It was actually a really good tactical move that I've got to sort of doff my cap to O'Neill to see that. I think we'll see Dango back once Eid comes round, which I think is in 2 weeks, and so then again he may be an option, but for now I would avoid him.
Presumably Tavernier starts for Tottenham then.
Yeah, I would be surprised if not. I think he's been managing his minutes after obviously he had a bit of an injury-affected season, but he looks pretty fit to go to me. So I would not be surprised at all if we saw him. I think the other thing that's worth just looping back on Dango as well, he's been playing on the left recently as opposed to the right, which I don't think has suited him as well as the right did. For whatever reason, it's just one of those things. So
more of an old-fashioned wants to hit the touchline kind of wide player, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think I would not be surprised at all to see that, to see Tavernier come in.
Okay. You sure billing over Tavernier? It's a little bit of a saving there, 0.5. And I realise Tavernier hasn't completed more than an hour since the World Cup because of injury issues. But right before it, he was doing well for you. Then you had a long run without positive results. He played and scored at Wolves, then got injured again.
Yeah. Yeah, and he looks really, he really does look like the player that we thought we were getting recently. I mean, obviously he scored an absolute worldie against Fulham that now probably won't even make the highlight reel for goal of the month after Haaland and all of that. But I do think he's worth considering. But until he plays a full, or at least starts, he's not in my consideration over Billing. Billing is absolutely nailed, whereas Tav's perhaps not.
If someone said I'm short of the money, though, does Tavernier versus, say, a Pereira?
Only because, and I said this last time, I can see Bournemouth having to play 38 games this season. Whereas I
play 38 games, Neil.
Sure, but I mean, actually play them as opposed to Fulham, who are probably safe now. Probably not going to finish much higher than they are now. So they're pretty much, I got the feeling that they're maybe starting to play in flip-flops a little bit. Whereas Bournemouth are going to have to play right up until Everton, and they're going to be playing meaningful football until the end of the season.
Yeah, I can't argue that. Penalty taker for you is... We did this before. You still don't know, do you?
No, still don't know. We're now going into game week 31, and no, still no penalty.
Do you believe there's a conspiracy against sides near the bottom of the tape? Thank God for that. Right, we can leave that there. Good, because I don't want to talk about that one. Ricky, any Bournemouth in your FPL at the moment?
No.
Any plans?
No, none whatsoever. And that's nothing to do with Bournemouth. I'm looking to sign Salah and Grealish in the coming weeks, and I've got no idea who I'm going to take out for either of them yet. Currently, the favourites for that position are Martinelli, who I don't want to get rid of, and Fernandes, who I probably do want to get rid of, but he's got double game weeks coming up. So yeah, sorry, Mark, Mr. Billing. It would be actually a really good move to get him in. Such a great differential, but to get him in, I'm then looking at Matoma or March or Rashford. So yeah, there's no place for him.
Okay, you both said you're free hitting in 32, and it's okay to say no to this. Have either of you given big thought to it yet, in terms of likely 11?
No, none whatsoever. In all honesty,
you just said no. Neil started looking down feverishly, like, yeah, I've got my free hit team prepared here.
I've thought of a few. There's a few fixtures that I want to target. I mean, it goes without saying that Arsenal playing Saints.
Arsenal and Liverpool 6, isn't it? If you're
Yeah,
free hitting.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't help but think I'm going to have at least 2 of our lot, just because I think I just feel at home. We've looked better. I can see a situation where if we score early, we could do some damage against West Ham.
You could. They finally got 3 points away from home at the weekend. But go on then. Who would be the most likely to? I assume Billing is 1.
Yeah. If Tavernier plays and starts this week, I would have him. If he doesn't, then I would probably look at Solanke, just because of how other things have fallen with my striker as my third striker.
Ricky, Bournemouth at home to West Ham. What would you rather have in there? Would you rather have a Billing or a Bowen?
I don't want to go anywhere near any West Ham players at the moment. So I'm just looking at the fixtures now. Blimey, there's not a lot to pick from, is there? Yeah, three Arsenal, three Liverpool, probably three Newcastle as well, to be fair. But yeah, no. Look, Billing is more than likely going to be in my side for that week. We are going to be a little bit light. Billing, maybe Eze in there as well. We're going to be quite light on the midfield options. Um, it just depends what
Uh, uh,
Arsenal you put in and what Liverpool you put in as to where
well,
else you go.
yeah, I think the instinct on that will probably be for free hitters 32. Probably Salah, probably two Arsenal, probably Martinelli and Saka, probably. So that leaves one or two spots depending on how many you go up front. I don't know. In terms of the enablers, and you probably won't need enablers, but you've obviously got the likes of Billing, Tavernier, Andreas Pereira at home to Leeds. You can still make the case, can't you, for Maddison at home to Wolves, for example. West Ham playing Bournemouth themselves. I think Daniel Podence away to Leicester. It's wide open, isn't it? And the Palace players at home to Everton. Even the likes of Damari Gray away to Palace, maybe even.
Yeah,
So there's loads actually in that kind of 5 million-ish. A Billing would be right near the top though, wouldn't he?
absolutely. Yeah, I'd be unless someone really stands out this weekend. I'd be quite surprised if Billing isn't in my free hit side.
Okay. Interestingly then, because he's only got a couple more points in FPL than Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. You wouldn't consider Pierre away to Newcastle then, Ricky?
No,
Okay, fine.
no.
He's another
Sorry.
round to throw in there.
Yeah.
Do you think Harry Kane will be on that free hit away to Newcastle?
Yeah, he probably will be, in all honesty. Once again, he can score anywhere, anytime. Um, and I'm looking. I mean, Tony will be in there, as long as it isn't his yellow card. Um, Probably Watkins. I don't know. I haven't really studied it, in all honesty. Darwin has got to be a consideration. Um,
Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah, there's a lot. So Harry, I mean, we could all afford him, because we're
Yes.
not going to struggle for money that week. But away to Newcastle, they have been strong defensively. They always seem to concede a goal, but it's a goal, and there's bigger ceilings potentially elsewhere.
Can you see anything bar Tottenham getting absolutely destroyed at Newcastle?
I don't think we'll get destroyed, but I can't see
I
anything.
do.
Um,
And we're talking about the most intense team in the league against the least intense, probably.
yeah. I mean, well, destroyed with possession, yes. Destroyed in goals, no. It'll just be a backs to the wall job, if it's looking like getting embarrassing. Um, but no, we're not going to win that game. If you offer me right now,
you mentioned a load of forwards for game week 32. I can't believe that you didn't say Isak.
I'm trying to be kind to my club. Honestly, I can't be too down on them. But yes, Isak and or Wilson are definitely considerations. They will be both thrown in the mix.
I mean, for me, free hit 32, I'm pretty sure will be 3 Arsenal, 3 Liverpool, Trippier, Isak, and then fill in 3 spots. I
Yeah.
think. I won't be going with Kane on free hit. I'm definitely going with Kieran Trippier.
Do you think we won't score?
I think, like, is it enough to be bothered about it? I can't see us going to Newcastle and not getting beat. Like, genuinely,
No.
I'd fancy us more against United or Liverpool than Newcastle at the moment.
Because of Newcastle's intensity, and
yeah,
we're just going to sit back there and soak it all up, and we're not that good defensively that one or two is not going to get through.
It's contradictory anyway. A Kane return for me, great. Get returned. It would be bad for Trippier anyway. So I'd want to go all in on that. And I think a lot of people will go Kane on free hit. Exactly what you said. It's the fear that know if he returns is going to hurt because his EO will be big, but he won't be captained by anyone in that game week. And it just goes against and it'd be affordable.
People will be sitting there with £10 million in the bank, or potential of 10 million left over, and they'll look at that. They'll upgrade a Jesus to Kane or an Isak to Kane. If you want to pick Watkins, why go Watkins? You've got enough money to go Kane. A lot of people will do that. I won't be.
Neil, serious question: Harry Kane away to Newcastle or Dominic Solanke at home to West Ham?
Kane.
I don't necessarily argue that.
Just because Solanke has been a bit deeper recently, and he's not necessarily needing to be our leading goal scorer. He's dropped deeper and letting Billing play in front of him. So that's the reason why. It's not because. Plus, it's Harry Kane. I mean, as I said earlier, he could very easily score. But I very much do get your point that if I've got Trippier, it just cancels him out, right?
I mean, we all deal with that every week. But when I'm actually choosing a whole 11 players for 1 week,
yeah,
I'm not sure I want to go down that similar question then, Neil. Son or Billing?
Billing.
Ricky?
Billing.
Go on, Ricky, elaborate. It's got a brilliant goal we got on the weekend.
Oh,
right?
Fantastic goal. Absolutely superb. Sonny at his best. But one swallow does not make a summer, as they say. He's shown me nothing for virtually the entire season. And I'm not going to get sucked in by one fantastic goal. If he does it this weekend, again, you know what? Maybe he's a consideration. But right now, at his value, with his points returned so far, he's so far off my radar. It's unbelievable.
Doesn't matter anyway. Lerma will piss him off anyway.
He's got 3 more points than Billing, Neil. So,
what over the last 5-6 games weeks? Because
over every game week.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Jazz. It's form, and Billing is in form for a team that's actually playing fairly well. Son is not in form for a team that's playing shit.
Heung-min Son has 3 returns in his last 4 games.
Okay, take out the 3 goals against Leicester, and how many points is he behind Billing for the whole season? A lot. Well, not a lot, but 20 plus.
It's behind fucking Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Ricky.
There you go. I'm not saying anything bad about Son. We all love that guy. I don't know what's happened to him this season. We speculated about it a couple of weeks ago. It's heartbreaking to see the downturn in that man in the space of 12 months. It's astonishing. Absolutely astonishing.
Okay. The only other Tottenham player I think people could be considering at the moment, Ricky's Pedro Porro, 4.8.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not something I'm gonna look at, if I'm being honest, purely because you're banking on attacking returns. You can't be sure that we're going to get any clean sheets anytime, especially not with the fixtures we've got coming up. But if you've got nothing else to do with the money, he's an exciting player to watch. If you're going to watch a game and you own him, that's good. That's good entertainment. But just be mindful that you're banking on attacking returns, because we don't keep many clean sheets.
There will be people listening who are looking for a 1 week punt somewhere. Maybe they've got their eyes set on someone for 32 and want to dip into someone for 1 week. Under that basis, Tottenham players come under consideration, surely.
Absolutely.
He would be near the top of that list, wouldn't he?
Not for me, no. If it was, not away to a team that's third in the league, that have got an excellent goal scoring record and players in form, because once again you're banking on attacking returns. You're not going to get a clean sheet out of that game. So no, I mean if you're going to do that, you may as well go for Ivan Perisic, because he's got much more attacking returns. Obviously, he's played many more games, but you're probably more likely to get an attacking return out of Perisic than you are out of Porro.
Not sure about that, to be honest. Not sure. I mean, it was great assist Perisic obviously got for Son at the weekend. Proper world class. Right in the Tom Carroll Hall of Fame of assists. That's a little dig for the West Ham lot there, by the way. Right, I think we'll probably leave it there. Ricky, where do you think we'll finish?
Oh, sixth.
Neil, where will Bournemouth finish?
16th.
Okay. I think we might, subject to what Brighton and Villa and Liverpool do, might still finish fifth, Ricky, but
They
I
could.
can't see us doing fourth, mate. I
No,
think more likely to finish eighth than fourth. I really, really do.
I'm kind of hoping that Liverpool, Villa, Brighton will cancel each other out. But no, look, fourth is gone. We're 3 points behind and played a game more. No, it's done. It's gone. It's gone for this year.
All right, cool. Prediction for Saturday, please, Ricky.
That said, I think we'll beat Bournemouth.
This is where you say something mad like 5-0, isn't it?
Yeah, no. I'm going to say just a straightforward 2-1. I was thinking of 3-1, but then I've just talked about how we don't press for a second and third goal. So yeah, I think 2-1.
Neil,
2-2.
I don't blame you for predicting that at all, mate. I am going to predict us to win this week, which many know I don't do that often. And listen, if you sat where I sat every week, you wouldn't. But I think, I think the firepower might be enough. I genuinely would not be surprised, Neil, if you have a lot more of the ball than you expect. I mean, do we owe Brighton a proper formal? Should we give Sam Murray a proper apology, Ricky, for Saturday and Brighton? And
probably need to, because that was a bit of a robbery.
Yeah, it was. We're sorry to all our Brighton listeners.
No, we're sorry. We just understand.
Ricky's not sorry. I'm sorry. You deserve to win. Ricky's not sorry. I'll post his address in the bio so you can all send him letters.
Yeah, look,
afterwards.
You're trying to finish above us, and we want your manager. I'm not sorry.
I'm not talking about Deservy anymore. Ricky, where can everyone follow you on the Bird Up, mate?
Ricky Saunders 77.
Good man. And Mr. Neil Grover.
At AFCBNG.
Good man. Very best of luck for the weekend. I'll be streaming tomorrow. I'm not quite sure what time yet. My Ask James stream. I think it's probably going to be 5 o'clock, but I will confirm on the Bird app beforehand. Next week, not 1, not 2, 3 clash of the correspondents for you. Brentford versus Aston Villa on Tuesday with Tom Med and Lee Jackson. Arsenal versus Southampton on Thursday with Adam Pritchard and Matt Samuel. And Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest on Friday with Dan Lord and Mark Southerns. Don't say we won't have you prepared for game week 32. Just leaves me to say thanks again so much to Ricky and to Neil. Good luck this weekend. Ricky, say it.
Come on, you Spurs.
Can't you Spurs? Cue music, please, man child.